Welcome aboard, folks, and thank you very much for joining our show on this Saturday evening. Coming up to Christmas time pretty soon, and I wanted to say also December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day just passed, and I always say a prayer for those brave men and the people that lost their lives and the people that lost their lives after that during this terrible, terrible war, World War II. So God bless those brave sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, everybody that gave their lives and their blood for this great country we live in called the United States of America. Folks, we have a very, very special guest on tonight. Very special, a very honored guest, Mr. Ray McGovern, a former CIA analyst for 27 years. And I'm going to get Ray on just as soon as I can. But I have to do a little bit of USS Liberty business first. I'll get that done. I'm going to cut this as short as I can because there's a lot that's got to be said tonight on Your Voice Counts, and that I don't want to take too much time in goofing around here. So as everyone knows, I do this show in honor of my former shipmates that were slaughtered that day on June 8, 1967, and the 174 others wounded, including myself, by the state of Israel in a sneak attack on our ship in international waters off the coast of Sinai, 12.5 miles off the coast of Sinai. Our ship was completely destroyed with rockets, cannons, machine guns, torpedoes, a 40 by 40 foot hole to starboard side, instantly killed 25 National Security Agency men that worked specifically for the National Security Agency. And I might also add that the USS Liberty was the most sophisticated intelligence platform at that date and time in the world. It was the very best, state of art. We could bounce signals off the moon directly to NSA of messages that I wasn't privy to, and I won't even get into those. I want to stay with things that I know about, not what I think I know about. But believe me, I've got a good idea after the last 45 years, after all the research I've done and the people I know. Also, I want to thank RBN and especially John Statmiller for giving the USS Liberty a voice on this fine radio station. RBN, real news, real talk, real people, because you can handle the truth. And if you listen to this station, folks, and their hosts, you'll understand why the people tune in, because it is a truthful station, and there's a lot of things that come out that people don't like, but that's just the way it is. And we're here not to bash Jews or anything like that. We didn't do the killing. Israel did the killing of the crew of the USS Liberty, and people try to call us Jew haters and Nazis or whatever, but that isn't the case. We're just here to tell the truth. This is eyewitness testimony. Eyewitness testimony, folks. So this came directly from the crew of the USS Liberty. We got to go to a break here in just a second, but remember, folks, support your sponsors at RBN, and we're going to get Ray on in just a moment. Real news, real talk, real people, RBN, because you can handle the truth. And thank you, Sam, for it.
Are you tormented with anxiety, depression, or other chronic symptoms of less than perfect health? In 2010, a few people got to participate in a groundbreaking discovery. Dr. Carolyn Dean, world-renowned authority on natural health, has recently patented a technology that is straight out of science fiction. And she invited me to try this product called RNA Drops. And within 12 hours of taking RNA Drops, I could feel an amazing sense of bliss. And since then, I've watched my troubles with depression and other health issues vanish into freedom and happiness again. Listen to hours of testimonials and get your trial bottle of RNA Drops at www.rnafreebottle.com. That's www.rnafreebottle.com. www.rnafreebottle.com.
Pay only shipping and handling and get your free trial bottle today at rnafreebottle.com.
Are you prepared? Are you ready? You should be. CampingSurvival.com is your source for camping supplies, survival gear, and survival food. Whether you are an emergency preparedness-minded individual interested in MRE and colloidal silver, a hardcore hiker in need of paracord, a water filter system, and fire piston, or just need a basic first aid kit or emergency kit for the family, CampingSurvival.com is the right place. Call CampingSurvival.com today. Toll free 800-537-1339. CampingSurvival.com. It's not about the end of the world. It's not about surviving a hypothetical plane crash. It's about the satisfaction you get knowing you can take care of yourself and or your family in any situation, anytime, anywhere. Call now 800-537-1339.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Welcome back, folks, to Your Voice Counts on this great radio station, RBN, folks. Welcome back. Thanks again for hanging on there. We're going to bring Mr. Ray McGovern on in just a moment. I got to finish this little bit of Liberty work, and then we'll just go on with Ray right away. Folks, Kat Farber, she's the one that sings the songs, the beautiful songs. A wonderful, wonderful woman. I'll tell you, just a great gal, and she gets a lot of guests on Your Voice Counts, and I certainly appreciate it. She is the producer of the show, and without her, I don't know what I'd do. Just an excellent, excellent gal, and thank God she's getting better. Her and her husband have had the flu and been sick, and been praying for her to get well, and she's getting on the med along with her husband Rick. So that's good. I'm glad they're getting healthy, and like I say again, Kat is a big part of this show, probably the biggest part, along with Ron Kukul, former shipmate of mine, in charge of body recovery and identification on June the 9th, 1967. He had that dubious job to get ready to take these people out of the hole when we reached Malta. And also James Morris helps a lot out. He gets people on the air, and I appreciate that. And his site is ushijack.com. That's ushijack.com. That's James Morris's site out in California. And also, I would be remiss in not letting people know how to get the best site that they can on anywhere, including the Internet, is from my good friend and former intelligence officer aboard the USS Liberty, Mr. John Godesco. By the way, he was one of the most well-liked officers aboard that ship, if not the most well-liked officer aboard that ship. No doubt about it. Go to John's site, tinyurl.com/USS Liberty, tinyurl.com/USS Liberty. I also want to thank Sam. Tonight is our board operator. Thank you, Sam, for doing such an outstanding job for RBN. I'm sure John appreciates your hard work, expertise, and professionalism. Now, as I said at the beginning of the show, it is my honor and privilege to have Ray McGovern. He's a former CIA analyst, and he had that job for 27 years, a very respected man, I've had the pleasure of interviewing Ray before, along with Philip Giraldi. Philip had a little bit different job than Ray. Ray was an analyst, and Philip, I believe, was on the ground doing the spy work on the ground, and Ray was analyzing all the stuff that came out of it. But this patriot, Mr. McGovern, has worked with many different people, presidents, vice presidents, giving them daily briefing and so on and so forth. And he has such a long resume, it would take the whole show to get into it. And I don't want to do that. I want to get Ray on and let him talk, because he is an expert on many, many subjects. And one of them is the USS Liberty. And I would like to start with that, Ray, the USS Liberty, and your thoughts on it, and why it went through without a flaw of being investigated from 1967 until this very date. And welcome aboard to Your Voice Counts on RBN. Thank you for coming aboard, Ray. Go ahead, please.
Well, thank you, Phil. As an Army officer, I'm not used to being welcomed aboard, but I'm happy to be on your ship.
Well, thank you.
Now, you talked about its Liberty work, and all I can say is that I endorse that in both senses of the word, USS Liberty and the fact that we need to speak out and spread some truth around to preserve our own liberty. I remember the famous quote of Benjamin Franklin after he came out of the Constitutional Convention, and they had the Constitution all prepared, and a woman came up and said, well, do you think that, what do you think came out of this? And Benjamin Franklin said, well, it's a republic if you can keep it. Now, we're in peril of losing it. And without folks like you and others on the radio and the slim exposure we get on the TV, we will lose it. So we need to hang in there and start and keep spreading the truth around. Now, with respect to the Liberty, that was, let me tell you a personal experience I had. I had known about the Liberty for some time and had been fixated on it for a while because I couldn't believe that our government would leave you courageous sailors in the lurch the way it did. So I'm going down to Missouri, Springfield, Missouri, and I'm going to give a lecture in a big church hall, 300 people there. And luckily, just before I got on the plane, I got a copy of Walt and Mearsheimer's Israel Lobby piece. Now, this was a piece written by Stephen Walt, who was a professor at Harvard, John Mearsheimer, a professor at University of Chicago. Both of them are of Jewish descent, and they tackle the subject head-on. The background of this all is that they were asked by the Atlantic magazine to tackle it. But when they came up with a draft, it was like a skunk at a picnic. The Atlantic sort of held it at arm's length and said, oh, we couldn't possibly publish this. And so Mearsheimer and Walt went away and tried to get a U.S. publisher, and they could find no one. Long story short, they got it published in the London Review of Books and later made a book out of it. But that piece in the London Review of Books was available just before I went down to Missouri, and I read it on a plane. I was really glad I did read it because during the question and answer period, I was talking about U.S. policy in Iraq and so forth. During the question and answer period, the question came up, had I read Mearsheimer and Walt's major article on the Israel lobby? And I said, yes, I had, just on the plane. And then somebody said, well, what'd you think of it? Now, in a word, what Mearsheimer and Walt say is that the Israel lobby is the strongest ever, and that pretty much dictates to many congressmen and senators what to do. So I responded by saying, well, it's extremely brave and courageous for them to say these things, but, what really struck me was that they missed they missed the most conclusive proof that Israel considers that it can get away with murder and will cover it up. I looked out at that 300-member community there, and I could see total puzzlement. And so I said, well, I'm referring, of course, to the USS Liberty incident on the 8th of June, 1967. Complete blank. So I said, well, how many people have heard of that incident? 3 people raised their hands, okay? So I picked the first person, the person closest to me. I said, sir, would you tell me what you know about the USS Liberty? The man stood ramrod straight. Sir, Sergeant Bryce Lockwood, USS Liberty crew, sir. I said, wow. Would you... We're referring to the same USS Liberty. Yes, sir. I lost my entire Marine contingent, sir. So I said, well, Mr. Lockwood, would you be willing to come up here and just spend 5 minutes or 10 maybe explaining to people here, because they really need to know about this USS Liberty incident. And Bryce Lockwood stood, again, ramrod straight like a Marine, and he hesitated. And he said, sir, I've not been able to do that yet, but it's 40 years now, and I think I'd like to try tonight. Well, he came up to the podium, and he took 10 minutes, and it was the most moving experience I've ever had. He talked about what had happened. He didn't go into much detail, but it was clear what he had suffered through. And what was also increasingly clear was the PTSD that many of the surviving crew suffered, partly because they were told they could not discuss the incident, not with anyone, not with their wives. Well, you know better than I, Phil. Not with your fellow crew members. You want to talk about setting up people for PTSD? You know, there's a sort of a petri dish of this. So I've got to know Bryce really well. We did some interviews together, and all I'm saying is that number one, we still need to spread the story of the USS Liberty. Number two, when you get someone like Bryce Lockwood, who's willing to do this after so many years, that's really golden, because what he said came through in a more realistic way than I could ever have hoped to do. So I applaud you all in calling to memory these things, because these things are just as likely to happen again unless we stir up enough public consciousness to prevent this kind of thing from happening again. And that's questionable given our knee-jerk support for whatever Israel does, no matter what.
Well, Ray, you brought chills up my spine when you mentioned Bryce's name. I opened the scuttle hatch as Bryce Lockwood had another sailor under his arm and let him out because they were about ready to drown. And he was mad as a hornet because he got locked down there. But when they locked him in, they had no idea what was going on. They thought the ship was going to sink. But yeah, Bryce brings back a lot of memories, and he was the only Marine that did survive that attack, and he's quite a guy. Here comes the music, Ray, and we're going to go right back and get on to the rest of the show. So hang on, folks. Support your sponsors. Real news, real talk, real people, because you can't handle the truth on RBN. Thanks, Ray. We will be right back.
Chlorine, fluoride, pathogens, and more are in the water you drink day to day. Do you want the ability to remove and reduce those harmful things in the water you drink? You can. How? With a Berkey water filter. A complete standalone gravity filter system that requires no electricity and no plumbing. Used for emergencies or for every day. Berkey systems come in 7 different sizes. Where can you get one? From GetBerkey.com. That's GetBerkey.com. With the purchase of each system, you get 50% off accessories, such as fluoride filters, water level spigot, and sport bottles. Plus, free shipping on all orders over $25. For a limited time, get 5% off all ceramic systems when you use coupon code RBN. Call Get Berkey at 855-GET-BERKEY. That's 855-438-2375. Or visit GETBERKEY.com. That's GetBerkey.com.
Golden Stag Safaris invites you to hunt in one of Argentina's most beautiful scenarios. Enjoy the quietness of the Pampas and the 5-star accommodation lodge. Excellent food and wine included in your stay. All the while hunting big game in the Argentine Valley, an area known for having a wide range of game, excellent trophies, the biggest stags in South America, as well as many other species. All gold medal quality. One-on-one guided hunts, rental guns available with the highest quality scopes in every caliber, Land Rovers for transport, pickup at Buenos Aires Airport, and a private aircraft for charter is all available. Go to www.goldenstagsafaris.com to see photos and for more information. Again, www.goldenstagsafaris.com.
Hey there, my name is Frank Bates. What I'm about to tell you in the next 60 seconds could get me in a lot of trouble. I just created a free video presentation at 123crooks.com that exposes the electricity monopolies and government agencies for what they really are. Incompetent, lying crooks that are counting on your ignorance and fear to keep your power bills criminally high. Some have called this a conspiracy. Others have called it a cover-up. And you'll be shocked to find out how deep the conspiracy goes. My video at 123crooks.com exposes the truth and shows you the secret of how I beat them and how you can beat them too. Watch the controversial video that thousands of other smart patriots have already seen in the last 3 months. Go to 123crooks.com and discover one weird trick to slash your power bill and protect your home. Go watch my video now at 123crooks.com before they force me to shut it down. 123crooks.com.
Welcome back, folks, to Your Voice Counts and our very, very special guest, CIA analyst Ray McGovern. And Ray, I wanted to say one thing about your testimony with Terry, and I know you know a lot of the rest of the crew, and this, you know this story better than probably anybody. But in my view, if the truth about the USS Liberty would have come out in 1967, instead of having AIPAC run the show and tell our government what to do, we wouldn't have fought 2 wars that we're losing right now in Iraq, which we're pulled out of, I guess, and then Afghanistan, and they're trying to get us in a war with Syria and Iran. Now, we got callers on the line, but we're not going to take them till the end of the hour. And Ray, there's so many bad things happening to our country right now, and of course we had Benghazi, Libya, where they left four Americans there to die when help was only a little bit away, and they could have helped them. It sounds like the USS Liberty, and also Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson. He was on a YouTube yesterday talking about Syria and WMD, and he also admitted when Powell got in front of the UN that it was an all made-up story about weapons of mass destruction, and the administration knew they were lying. And Colonel Wilkerson, which is the chief of staff from 202 to 205, knew they were lying. And so what are your views on Syria and weapons of mass destruction? I do know, or have heard, they do have chemical and biological weapons. So is it a possibility they would use them on their own citizens? I doubt it. Is it a possibility they'd use them on any other country? I don't think so. What are your thoughts on that, Ray?
Well, those are good questions. We heard so often that Saddam used chemical weapons on his own people, right? Well, that's a much more complicated story behind that, and that is that he was at war with Iran. And in that town up there, Halajba was its name. It was right on the border between Iran and Iraq. and chemical weapons were used. But it's not as though Saddam Hussein gassed his own people. If indeed the chemical weapons were Iraqi and not Iranian, which is the subject of some dispute, he was using it on the people that were helping the Iranians, mostly the Kurds up that way. And I don't defend that for 1 minute. Chemical weapons should be banned. But, to suggest that he was some sort of madman who used chemical weapons on his own people without any real reason, that was a crock then, and it's a crock now with respect to Assad. Now, I hold no brief for Assad. But if you step back about 2 yards, okay, and you say, well, what is U.S. policy toward Syria? Well, Hillary Clinton got it into her head 2 years ago to say that Assad has to go. Well, hello. Who is Hillary Clinton to decide that Assad has to go, just like Saddam Hussein had to go, right? Now, the way to approach a situation that was getting more complicated and more complicated by the minute was to see if you could sit down and resolve these things in a peaceful way. And you negotiate. You try to get a share of power for whoever it was in the Arab Spring mode that was challenging Assad. None of that was done. Instead, we chose this cockamamie plan with disparate groups who we didn't even know who they are. Some of them are probably Al-Qaeda, and we're arming them, and we're helping the Saudis and the Qataris to do that, and it's bedlam in there now, and it's largely our fault. So now, what do we get? Well, we get a report in the New York Times earlier this week. I know this pretty well because the BBC called me right away. And I said, what do you think about this? And I told them. And they said, well, can you come on our World Report later on? And I said yes. And I read up on it, and I found out that the author of the main report in the New York Times was a fellow named David Sanger. Okay? Now, as you know, the Times is sort of regarded as the flagship, so people reprint what the Times says. And what he said was that there were anonymous reports that the two parts of sarin were being combined and that they were getting ready to use sarin gas. Okay? Now, what I told the BBC was this. I said, sirs, as an intelligence analyst, the first thing we look at is the source. Okay? Have you looked at David Sanger? He's a mouthpiece for Israel. He's a mouthpiece for the neoconservatives. He said everything that he can to imply that Iran is working on a nuclear weapon when 16 U.S. intelligence agencies reiterate each year in January that Iran stopped doing that at the end of 2003. We're talking 9 years, huh? And they have not resumed that. So who's David Sanger? He's sort of like the Judith Miller for Iran and now Syria. Judith Miller was the reporter in the New York Times that bought all this artificial intelligence, so to speak, from the Iraq National Council, the Chalabi folks, who said, "Oh yeah, we can go in there, and we'll be the government there."
Hang on a minute, Ray. We'll be right back. We'll be right back, folks. Support your sponsors at RBN. And I will say this, Ray, I think the end game from Iraq war to now has always been Iran, and we'll get into that in just a moment with our callers. Thanks for hanging on, folks. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has zero toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at bioage.com, spelled BIOAGE.com, bioage.com, or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
American gardeners and fellow patriots, make the right choice with your money, time, and your family food supply. Choose 100% pure heirloom seeds in the Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com. Why spend more? The Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com is only $37.95 and includes 20 varieties of pure, hardy, easy-to-grow heirloom seeds. Yes, only $37.95. That's 70% less than our competitors. You could buy 3 Survival Seed Vaults for less than one of theirs. The Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com includes detailed planting and seed-saving instructions and ships same day. Plus, all orders over $49 ship free. MyPatriotSupply.com is American-owned by patriots like you, passionate about freedom and preparedness. Call now, 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Or discover more emergency preparedness items when you order at MyPatriotSupply.com. Choose the original. Choose the Survival Seed Vault at MyPatriotSupply.com.
You know that maintaining your health is getting harder than ever. GMO, chemtrails, designer viruses, toxins, and mysterious syndromes make it very difficult to protect yourself and loved ones. So what can you do? How can you fight back and own your health? What if powerful technology existed designed to help you optimize your physical and mental well-being, correct chronic issues, and extend your quality of life? Skeptical? Sure. We were too, but results don't lie. Your body's an energy system, and the future of medicine will use non-toxic bioenergy to rejuvenate your cells with the perfect living energy they're made from. How do we know? Because that future began nearly 100 years ago and lives on today because of powerful results. T8 is a breakthrough technology that's transforming the science of bioenergetic rejuvenation. To learn why over 800 holistic practitioners and people just like you bought T8s over the past 3 years, visit antiaging8.com. That's anti-aging, the numeral 8.com, or call 979-227-2277. 979-227-2277.
Here we go to Your Voice Counts. We got a good long run here. I hate cutting you off, Kat, but we got a lot of callers and everything. Again, thank you for your beautiful voice and all the time you put into this great radio show, Your Voice Counts. We have 3 callers, and I always take the survivors when they call in first. We have Ron, James, and David. So welcome aboard, Ron Kukul up in Wyoming. And please go ahead, Ron. He dropped? Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Let's go ahead with James Morris out in California.
Thanks for taking my call, Phil. It was good news when I heard you have a friend, Ray McGovern, on, who I've been in touch with for years, in person at times and on email as well. Ray, good to have you on the show. It was really interesting what Ray had just mentioned. Before I go into that about David Sanger, though, just a quick correction on Mearsheimer. Ray had said that Mearsheimer and Walt were both Jewish. Mearsheimer is actually a Catholic. I'm not sure what Walt is. He may be Jewish, but I'm a friend of John Mearsheimer, and even though his name sounds Jewish, he's actually a Catholic. But it's very relevant what Ray did mention as well about the Liberty not being mentioned in the Israel lobby paper that they had written for the London Review of Books, because John had no excuse with the book that came out after that, because I'd actually sent information to him about the Liberty. He has spoken about the Liberty after the book, The Israel Lobby and U.S. Foreign Policy, came out, but I think at the time they were publishing it, they didn't want to go there. And I agree with Ray, I think they should have. What's very concerning also, what I wanted to talk to Ray, since he's an expert here, I think about him all the time. I'm watching this Homeland show that's on Showtime. I sometimes think how far-fetched it is, though, when you have all these cell phone calls and not one of them is heard by the FBI or the CIA at the time, at least between the main character and his handler with the Arab News or whatever. Anyway, that's another story. But, Ray, to Bob Baer, he was on CNN recently as well, pushing the WMD line, and that's, of course, former CIA field officer Bob Baer, who the Syriana film was based on, his life story. And he was on CNN basically pushing the WMD line with Syria, saying that it's very deadly, the sarin gas, and we've got to go in. Now, when you talk about David Sanger and what we saw with Judy Miller and all that, I think it goes back to what I'd mentioned earlier today, or actually earlier this year, on the Russia Today program. You can Google James Morris from Russia Today, and you can also go over to the USHijack.com blog where it's linked. And I talked about it. This is all about the Israel lobby, the neocons, AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and the spin-off think tank WINEP, the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. I mean, you've got a guy that's with WINEP, David Pollack, who's openly bragged on C-SPAN's Washington Journal recently that he was Skyping on a daily basis with the Syrian rebels. So there's no doubt that the Israel lobby has encouraged those rebels to rise up in Syria. It's just the rest of the neocon clean break agenda that I mentioned on Russia Today. But we just don't hear this being addressed on the media. We just have these Israel firsters that are pushing for it with the various think tanks I just mentioned, and the Israel First U.S. media. And it's very, very concerning. And I just think that they're going to get away with another war. And like Phil mentioned, Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, who I actually interviewed when I guest hosted for Phil a few months back, he had said that Cheney, who was in league with all these neocons, GINZA, the Jewish Institute for National Security Affairs, and the Project for the New American Century and all that, which is now defunct in name only, were basically running the show with Cheney, and that Cheney was the president. And we had that on the record earlier on Your Voice Counts. Anyway, I don't want to go on here. A lot of information I have about the Syrian WMD stuff is at my blog, USHijack.com. And, Ray, I just think it's very concerning. I think the end game, like Lawrence Wilkerson said on Russia Today yesterday, is Iran.
Well, that's the name of the game. Getting at Syria is, in their view, getting at Iran. Syria and Iran are very close. Now, when we talk about the sarin gas stuff, you can't be 100% sure, but I'm from the Bronx, right? And I recognize a crock when I see one.
Exactly.
I saw a crock in the aluminum tubes that were advertised exactly 10 years ago. Now, for people who don't remember that, these were aluminum tubes that people held up as proof that Iran had a nuclear weapons development program. The case was made by Condoleezza Rice saying these tubes could not be used in any other application other than to be preparing to build nuclear material for a nuclear bomb. Now, that was a crock. We knew that it was a crock. And the reason was that they had all the specifications that fit an artillery tube, okay? The same artillery tube we knew to be in the Iraqi inventory. So that was played up, and the way it was played up was this way. In the middle of September 2002, Cheney, or one of his minions, leaked to the New York Times this very, very dangerous report about aluminum tubes in Iraq, that they were trying to get aluminum tubes, and that could, blah, blah, blah. Well, the Times runs it on Sunday, and then Condoleezza Rice and Dick Cheney get on the Sunday talk shows and say, oh, we just noticed there's a report in the New York Times, and our sources confirm. Can you imagine?
Exactly.
Confirm.
Yeah. And who was that source that you'd mentioned, Ray? Judith Miller, who was in there with Scooter Liberty? And we swing like we're connected like Aspen, or whatever she said about the truth, that famous line she had.
Yeah. Well, the deal here is that since the mass media is pretty much owned by the corporations that are profiteering on these wars, American people are deceived into thinking they know what's going on, and they don't. And that's why it's so vital and so important to have programs like this and websites like your own, James, that will make available to people who are interested the real story. And the real challenge is to get people interested, because if we go to war in Syria, it's going to make Iraq look, like a redux of Iraq. It's going to be worse in some respects. And the Iranians are not going to stand still for that. We got Hezbollah, we got Hamas, we got all kinds of ways that we could see that the Iranians could get involved here, and maybe that's what Israel wants. Huh?
I want to just break in 1 second and ask you guys a question. Then we got Ron back on the line. We want to get him on. But, Ray, do you think that the wild card in this is Russia and China that perhaps could keep us out of World War III?
That's a really good question. You know, when I look at Russia and China, I see people smiling in disbelief that the U.S. would be embarked or threatening to be embarked on another fool's errand. So I think, for example, in Russia, and that's where my expertise is, I think in Russia, Putin and those folks are sitting back saying, my God, you know, maybe we ought to just let them get involved in Syria. They're not going to get, they're just going to, it's going to be another Vietnam, another Iraq, another Afghanistan for them. They're spending all their precious national resources. There could be a revolution in the United States for all we know. Just let them do it. They're not a threat to us. Let them. Now that, I think, is counterbalanced by the traditional Russian suspicion and aversion to people mucking around close to their southern border. And I think when push comes to shove, Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, has told or will tell Hillary Clinton, look, this is important stuff. This is not Iraq. Don't think we're going to stand by idly. We're going to support Assad. And if you want a long, prolonged civil war, which you're not going to win, well, you just go ahead and have this ragtag group of rebels do their work some more. Otherwise, let's put a stop to this thing.
Well, Ray, what you said is spot on, and let me just quickly insert something here. In that Russia Today interview that Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, of course, Colin Powell's former assistant in the Army and at the State Department, he had said that if this happens, we've got an invasion fleet basically off the coast of Syria right now with the USS Eisenhower and the Iwo Jima, you know, ready to go in and quote-unquote secure Assad's weapons of mass destruction, the chemical weapons we've been talking about from David Sanger, the Israel lobby mouthpiece of the New York Times you just mentioned, Ray. Anyway, Colonel Wilkerson had said that it could become a regional war if we go into Syria, and even wider than that. Now, I know what he means by that, and anybody listening to that does, but he had done this excellent interview on a Dutch documentary. It was VPRO is the company, and they couldn't get it to air on any U.S. media. What a surprise. It's kind of like the Valentino's Ghost film that I'm in with my confrontation with Lee Hamilton about 9/11 motivation. That's going out to PBS on January 5th, but they're conveniently leaving out the AIPAC parts and my exchange with Lee Hamilton. There's PBS censorship for you, but that's another story. But in that VPRO Dutch AIPAC documentary, Colonel Wilkerson at the end of it said that the Jewish lobby, exact words, regarding the Jewish lobby, its influence is going to get us into the next war. And he said, if we go into Iran, it'll be the next world war. And what he said about Syria yesterday is end game's Iran. And when he said a wider war, Ray, he's talking about a possible world war. Do we want to risk that for the influence of the Israel lobby on the American political system and media, which we're experiencing now?
Well, of course not. And we have Iraq as a case in point. Wolfowitz, Pearl, Feith, all those neocons, some of whom wrote position papers for Netanyahu way back in 1996, they thought, now please don't laugh, they thought that if we went into Iraq, we could make that country safer for Israel, right?
Exactly.
Chalabi was going to come in and we'll put him in, he said he would recognize Israel, right? Now what people didn't realize, do you know how long Chalabi had been away from Baghdad, from Iraq? He left Iraq the same year that the New York Giants broke my heart by leaving New York for San Francisco. That's how long he had been away from Iraq. And he claimed to have this great big following. So what the deal was they thought that they'd get enough Chalabis in there to make that place safer for Israel. Now, until then, there were no suicide bombers there would come some people that Saddam Hussein was paying if they got killed in suicide bombing in Palestine, but that was the extent of the terrorism that he was perpetrating. Now it's teeming with terrorists, and now we know Al-Qaeda has a very good foothold there to the point where they almost did in our embassy in Jordan just last week.
And look at John McCain. And Ray, look at John McCain recently. You know, he was all wrong about Iraq, you know, took the neocon clean break line that we just talked about, you know, taking out Iraq and then taking out Syria, going after Syria is just the next step of that. And he was wrong about the surge. The surge was an absolute failure, okay? It was billed as bringing stability to Iraq even after U.S. troops left. That hasn't happened. Iraq's a mess. And then now he's on neocon, AIPAC-influenced U.S. media saying, see, I told you, Obama took the troops out of Iraq and it's a mess. And the scary thing about it, and let me just make some news here, too. I've been in touch with Bob Baer, and he hasn't replied to my recent email. He's the CIA field officer we mentioned earlier here. And I said, Bob, I just saw you pushing for intervention in Syria. Take a look at this link that I just sent you and Phil Ray via email about the Syrian WMDs over at ushijack.com. He hasn't replied yet. But the news quickly I wanted to make with him is in my latest conversation I had with him a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned to him about the Liberty. And at first I thought he had said in response that the Liberty attack wasn't deliberate. And I said, what do you mean, Bob? Of course it was deliberate. And he said, well, that's what I said. I have intel contacts that heard the Israeli intercepts that indeed confirmed it was deliberate. So there's news directly from Bob Baer on the phone within the last month that the USS Liberty attack was deliberate. And
okay, James, I'm going to have to break in here, and I have to say one thing. Excellent points you brought up. And, it all goes back to one thing. Israel comes first before anything or anybody. We see that in our Congress. We see that at the very heart of our government. James, thanks for calling in. We'll get back together again. I got to bring up Ron Kukl, survivor, USS Liberty. Ron, thanks for hanging on. What do you got to say, sir, on Your Voice Counts?
Yeah, thank you, Phil. I'm going to have to talk fast. I'm on the road again, just like it was the last time Ray was on the show. Are you still there?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Ron. Yeah, good to hear you.
Yeah, yeah, same here, Ray. The same situation was the last time. I just want to say, Ray, it's good to hear you again. It's good to talk to you. And I consider this radio program the last real stronghold of the Liberty survivors. Thank you very much for coming on here. We've had people like Adlai Stevenson, a lot of people that who have come on here and said a lot of things that were very important, and now they're recorded and they're in the archives. So thanks, Ray. You're on the last stronghold as far as I'm concerned.
Well, thanks, Ron, and you are one of the strongholders, in my view.
Thank you, sir. I'm the Gabby Hayes of Roy Rogers. I'm saying that in truthfulness because Phil usually has a couple of words to say about my age. So, he can be Roy Rogers and I can be Gabby Hayes because I am a little older, quite a little older. And I'm surprised he didn't bring something up tonight, but it'll happen before it's over with. Good to talk to you, Ray. I don't want to take up all the time.
Okay, well, let's not get into age, Ron. I feel very sensitive about that because when I was beat up and removed from that lecture that Hillary Clinton was giving 2 years ago, Fox News was the first one out with the report, and they said an elderly gentleman. And that was the worst part of the whole thing. I didn't mind getting beat up with the elderly gentleman. Give me a break.
Yeah, well, and Phil don't give me much of any break on that. Usually it gets pretty hard once in a while. So, Ray, good to talk to you. I know the time is short, and Phil, just jump right in there. I'm done.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Ron. God bless your shipmate. And again, thanks for what you did aboard the USS Liberty. You were steadfast. You were always there, and I'll never forget it, as well as all the rest of the survivors and the friends of the USS Liberty. And we have another person here out in Dave in California. I always want to get my people in that call in because they take time to do this and listen to the show. So, Dave from California, I hope you're still there. Please come on board and talk to Mr. Ray McGovern.
Hi, Phil. Thanks for taking my call. I just had a couple of comments. First of all, I just wanted to say that I think that the problems that are going on in America, they're not, essentially they're not political. There's a spiritual problem going on. And what I mean by that is when there's issues like Syria and Iran going on, that should be on the tip of every single person's tongue in America. People should be talking about that in coffee shops. They should be talking about that with their neighbors. It should be common parlance. Just every day they should be discussing it, but it's just not there. It doesn't even exist. So that's why I think that it's a spiritual problem because people just don't care. there's no interest in it, like Mr. McGovern was saying. And secondly, I hear music.
Yeah, we got the music coming on. Boy, what a fast show. We'll be right back, folks. Just hang in there. Thank you for supporting our sponsors on RBN. And we'll see you in just about 3 minutes. Thank you.
I'll hear the bomb again.
Are you concerned about fluoride, chlorine, parasites, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Dalton ceramic water filters have been made continuously since 1827 and are used by disaster relief organizations and in third world countries to supply safe drinking water. Not only do we offer gravity filter systems, but also under the sink and countertop systems. Our replacement filters can be used to upgrade your existing system. And unlike some other filters on the market, Dalton filters do not have to be primed. For more information, call us at 800-696-1435, 800-696-1435, or order online at Dalton.com. That's DOULTON.com.
Wouldn't you agree? Healthy people are happier and more productive. Obesity is the root cause of many health problems. Do you want to lose weight safely, look sexy and attractive without side effects and no chemicals? Lose weight without the side effects safely with Zeno's organic dietary supplements. Made in the USA, 100% USDA certified organic. Visit www.zenos.com. That's www.zenohs.com. Try our products risk-free for a limited time offer. No purchase necessary. You only pay shipping and handling. Get your old, sexy body back now. Visit Zenos.com. Get your free supplements now. Visit Zenos.com right now. www.zenohs.com. That's www.zenohs.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Welcome back, folks. Here we go for the last few minutes of Your Voice Counts on RBN. And I wanted to thank Dave for his call. And he mentioned about religion. And, it was religious. Well, you make a valid point in many, many ways. But religion, through the John Hagees and the Zionist Christians in the country, there's tens of millions of them that support Israel, the Zionist state of Israel, and the Zionist Christians in this country. In fact, John Hagee has a Israeli flag hanging in his church, and Israel comes first before any other country. And I just see that every day on the media. The media is owned bought and owned and paid for by the Zionist media, and so the real truth doesn't come out. The American people really don't know the truth because they don't research it, or they just believe everything that's on television or what their preachers tell them. What do you think about that, Ray?
Well, let me say this. I think the word that Dave used was spiritual. A big difference between spiritual and religion. I think, Phil, that the points you made about the likes of Hagee are absolutely correct. I think Dave was getting at a deeper reality here. And what I was teaching a bunch of college kids today, and I'd like to read you just a couple of sentences which set our foreign policy right after World War II, when we, the United States, escaped as the only country with an economy and an infrastructure that was left standing. This was the first policy planning paper from the State Department. I quote, "We have about 50% of the world's wealth, but only 6.3% of its population. Our real task in the coming period is to maintain this position of disparity. To do so, we will have to dispense with all sentimentality and daydreaming. We need not deceive ourselves that we can afford the luxury of altruism. We should cease to talk about vague, unreal objectives such as human rights and the raising of living standards and democratization. The day is not far off when we will have to deal in straight power concepts, period," end quote. Okay, the reason I set that out for you is this is a spiritual problem. Are we, the United States, entitled to a disproportionate share of the world's resources? What's special about us? Why do we call ourselves the indispensable nation? If I know what the word indispensable means, it means that the other countries are all dispensable. So what we need to do is do what my grandson learned in nursery school. You have to learn to share things. And until we do that, and unless we do that, there are going to be many, many people so ticked off at us that they're going to resort to what we call terrorism, which is simply offensive warfare without a jet plane. So there is a spiritual element here, and what I would like to see is the churches, not necessarily Hagee and those guys, but the churches that still pretend to care about justice, to speak out and say it is not quite just for our country to be doing the kinds of things it has been doing in Iran, in Iraq, and in Afghanistan, and now, God forbid, in Syria, just to preserve this disproportionate amount of the world's wealth.
Ray, here comes that music again, and sir, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out for your expertise and what you know about so much. It is unbelievable that you would give us that time, and I'd love to get you back on air again, Ray, and God bless you, and Merry Christmas to you and yours.
You're most welcome. You guys are the real deal, and I'm happy to come on anytime you ask.
Okay, thank you. God bless you, Ray, and God bless everybody out there. Listen next week to Your Voice Counts. Real news, real talk, real people, because you can handle the truth. And thank you again, Sam. You did a great job. Bye-bye. This is eyewitness testimony. Eyewitness testimony, folks. So this came directly from the crew of the USS Liberty. We got to go to a break here in just a second, but remember, folks, support your sponsors at RBN, and we're going to get Ray on in just a moment. Real news, real talk, real people, RBN, because you can handle the truth. And thank you, Sam, for it.
Are you tormented with anxiety, depression, or other chronic symptoms of less than perfect health? In 2010, a few people got to participate in a groundbreaking discovery. Dr. Carolyn Dean, world-renowned authority on natural health, has recently patented a technology that is straight out of science fiction. And she invited me to try this product called RNA Drops. And within 12 hours of taking RNA Drops, I could feel an amazing sense of bliss. And since then, I've watched my troubles with depression and other health issues vanish into freedom and happiness again. Listen to hours of testimonials and get your trial bottle of RNA Drops at www.rnafreebottle.com. That's www.rnafreebottle.com. www.rnafreebottle.com.
Pay only shipping and handling and get your free trial bottle today at rnafreebottle.com.
Are you prepared? Are you ready? You should be. CampingSurvival.com is your source for camping supplies, survival gear, and survival food. Whether you are an emergency preparedness-minded individual interested in MRE and colloidal silver, a hardcore hiker in need of paracord, a water filter system, and fire piston, or just need a basic first aid kit or emergency kit for the family, CampingSurvival.com is the right place. Call CampingSurvival.com today. Toll free 800-537-1339. CampingSurvival.com. It's not about the end of the world. It's not about surviving a hypothetical plane crash. It's about the satisfaction you get knowing you can take care of yourself and or your family in any situation, anytime, anywhere. Call now 800-537-1339.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Welcome back, folks, to Your Voice Counts on this great radio station, RBN, folks. Welcome back. Thanks again for hanging on there. We're going to bring Mr. Ray McGovern on in just a moment. I got to finish this little bit of Liberty work, and then we'll just go on with Ray right away. Folks, Kat Farber, she's the one that sings the songs, the beautiful songs, a wonderful, wonderful work. Welcome aboard, folks, and thank you very much for joining our show on this Saturday evening. Coming up to Christmas time pretty soon, and I wanted to say also December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day just passed, and I always say a prayer for those brave men and the people that lost their lives and the people that lost their lives after that during this terrible, terrible war, World War II. So God bless those brave sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, everybody that gave their lives and their blood for this great country we live in called the United States of America. Folks, we have a very, very special guest on tonight. Very special, a very honored guest, Mr. Ray McGovern, a former CIA analyst for 27 years. And I'm going to get Ray on just as soon as I can. But I have to do a little bit of USS Liberty business first. I'll get that done. I'm going to cut this as short as I can because there's a lot that's got to be said tonight on Your Voice Counts, and that I don't want to take too much time in goofing around here. So as everyone knows, I do this show in honor of my former shipmates that were slaughtered that day on June 8, 1967, and the 174 others wounded, including myself, by the state of Israel in a sneak attack on our ship in international waters off the coast of Sinai, 12.5 miles off the coast of Sinai. Our ship was completely destroyed with rockets, cannons, machine guns, torpedoes. A 40 by 40 foot hole to starboard side instantly killed 25 National Security Agency men that worked specifically for the National Security Agency. And I might also add that the USS Liberty was the most sophisticated intelligence platform at that date and time in the world. It was the very best, state of art. We could bounce signals off the moon directly to NSA of messages that I wasn't privy to, and I won't even get into those. I want to stay with things that I know about, not what I think I know about. But believe me, I've got a good idea after the last 45 years, after all the research I've done and the people I know. Also, I want to thank RBN and especially John Statmiller for giving the USS Liberty a voice on this fine radio station. RBN, real news, real talk, real people, because you can handle the truth. And if you listen to this station, folks, and their hosts, you'll understand why the people tune in, because it is a truthful station, and there's a lot of things that come out that people don't like, but that's just the way it is. And, we're here not to bash Jews or anything like that. We didn't do the killing. Israel did the killing of the crew of the USS Liberty, and people try to call us Jew haters and Nazis or whatever, but that isn't the case. We're just here to tell the truth. Woman, I'll tell you, just a great gal, and she gets a lot of guests on Your Voice Counts, and I certainly appreciate it. She is the producer of the show, and without her, I don't know what I'd do. Just an excellent, excellent gal, and thank God she's getting better. Her and her husband have had the flu and been sick, and been praying for her to get well, and she's getting on the med along with her husband Rick. So that's good. I'm glad they're getting healthy, and like I say again, Kat is a big part of this show, probably the biggest part, along with Ron Kukul, former shipmate of mine, in charge of body recovery and identification on June the 9th. 1967, he had that dubious job to get ready to take these people out of the hole when we reached Malta. And also, James Morris helps a lot out. He gets people on the air, and I appreciate that. His site is ushijack.com. That's ushijack.com. That's James Morris's site out in California. And also, I would be remiss in not letting people know how to get the best site that they can on anywhere, including the internet, is from my good friend and former intelligence officer aboard the USS Liberty, Mr. John Gadusco. By the way, he was one of the most well-liked officers aboard that ship, if not the most well-liked officer aboard that ship, no doubt about it. Go to John's site, tinyurl.com/USS Liberty, tinyurl.com/USS Liberty. I also want to thank Sam. Tonight is our board operator. Thank you, Sam, for doing such an outstanding job for RBN. I'm sure John appreciates your hard work, expertise, and professionalism. Now, as I said at the beginning of the show, it is my honor and privilege to have Ray McGovern. He's a former CIA analyst